First off, I use the Canon DSLR 850D for all of my photo shoots, as I was not familiar with the cameras. The DSLR 850D is a good camera for beginners. I actually had no prior experience before. Only other time I used them was during the preliminary test, where I was instructed where to put the battery in, the SD card in, attach the foot for the tripod, and more. I think the main skill that I learned was how to control the ISO and aperture settings, as the skills made an actual difference in my final photos. ISO changes the sensitivity in the sensor to get more or less light to get a properly exposed image. Aperture also specifies how much light is let inside the camera. Here are some examples of my progress. In terms of production, I feel like I learned a lot of things, especially working with my models, creating contracts, time management, and more. I mainly talk to my model on Messenger and set important dates as a reminder. Directing models was also a challenge at first. However, it became much easier to tell what I want to do later on. In terms of software, it's basically all Adobe Photoshop. No third-party plugins, no other apps. I actually haven't used Photoshop before, but I have used other Adobe apps such as Adobe Substance Painter, which is for 3D modeling. I learned Photoshop by just playing around with it really. The only tutorial I watched was done by a technician who is part-time, and I learned from my teachers and peers as well. For the cover page, it was the first thing I did, and probably the page with the most effort put into it. I learned all the basic skills that was needed. I also utilized the skills later on in the creation process. It was quite simple to add images, drag and drop, which was useful, as well as a little pointer telling you what to do with the tool. They also had a shape tool and special properties such as glows and embossing, which helped me make the puffs. As for editing raw images, I learned how to change the vibrancy in order to make it pop. In terms of cutting anything out, I had to cut my model out of the background and add artificial shadows with a brush, which is airbrushing, due to the light reflecting off the white background. I also used the loop tool for this, and I set the dithering to a low amount to make sure that the image afterwards wasn't too sharp. As for my contents page, I mainly use the same techniques that I learned while doing the cover page. I learned how to make everything equal in distance by using the snapping tool, which really helped to bring out the professional look. Selecting images was a pain for me, so the contact sheets that I made using the tools in Adobe Photoshop really helped. You just had to upload a folder and it will automatically do it for you. Finally, for the double page spread, the main photo I was going to use for it was too small, so I used Adobe's Content Aware Fill tool, which did wonders to the image and made it look a lot more nicer. I also made sure to check the details to make sure that there weren't any errors done by the calculation. Anyhow, that concludes my reflection. See you next time.